Captain Ryn Valcor stood before the control panel of the Vortex star, gazing out at the starfield beyond. The ship was on the edge of the Solum Fringe, just shy of a region known as the Rift, one of the galaxy's most dangerous and unexplored territories. The ship was small but powerful, a scout vessel equipped with state-of-the-art engines and advanced navigational tech. Ryn's ship had seen countless missions ranging from emergency rescues to high-risk diplomatic missions, but this one was different. A message had arrived from the Nexus realm, a transmission buried beneath layers of encrypted signals, its source unknown. "Captain, we've decrypted the transmission," said Evo, the ship. SAI interface, breaking Ryn's silence. The synthetic voice was calm and precise, a necessary companion for a captain so often alone. Ryn turned her chair slightly, eyes narrowing. "Let's hear it." The screen flickered, and a hologram appeared before her. A familiar face, though it was many years older than she remembered, appeared. A man with graying hair, an angular face, and sharp eyes. It was Commander Thaddeus Velor, a long-lost ally and former member of the Galactic Council's Deep Space Explorers. "Ryn," the hologram began, his voice weathered but urgent. "This message is encrypted for your ears alone. I know you've heard the rumors about the Zenith Nexus and the resonance. It's real. It's more than we could have ever imagined. The anomaly at the heart of the galaxy is waking, and it's calling us. You'll find more answers in the Solum Fringe. But hurry." The message cut off abruptly, leaving Ryn staring at the screen, a chill creeping down her spine. She knew the Zenith Nexus, an ancient structure located at the galaxy's core, a source of immense power, but she had never heard of the resonance. "Eva, what do we know about this anomaly?" she asked, her voice steady but tinged with concern. The AI responded instantly, pulling up data from its vast archives. "The resonance refers to an energy fluctuation detected in the heart of the galaxy, deep within the Elysian void. It has been linked to both temporal and spatial disturbances. There are theories that it is a remnant of an ancient civilization, or possibly an entity older than the galaxy itself." Ryn's mind raced. The Elysian void was the most mysterious region in the galaxy, where time seemed to behave unpredictably. Ships that entered sometimes never returned, and those that did were often irrevocably changed. "You said disturbances. Does that mean it's affecting the rift?" Ryn asked. "Yes," Eva replied. "There are rumors of ships being pulled into time loops or being flung back to past events with no warning. Some reports indicate entire sectors are being displaced in space." Ryn ran her fingers through her short, dark hair. The rift was dangerous enough on its own. Now there was something more, something ancient. She gripped the armrest of her chair and turned to face the controls. "I've got to get to the source of this," she said. Determination in her voice. "Set a course for the rift, full speed ahead." The ship's engines hummed to life as the Vortex star powered forward, leaving the safety of the known sectors behind. The journey to the rift took 2 days. Ryn's crew consisted of just a few, those she trusted above all others. First Officer Kendra D. Levo, a former soldier from the Demera Expanse, stood at the tactical console. Her sharp green eyes scanned the data streams as they entered the anomaly. "We're nearing the rift's edge, Captain. Something's off. The spatial distortion readings are escalating. It's like the space-time fabric is warping or collapsing on itself," Kendra reported. Ryn nodded, her grip tightening on the armrest. "Evo, calculate the safest entry point." "Analyzing now," Evo responded. "Calculations indicate the safest path is through the outer fringe, but you'll need to avoid the temporal distortions at all costs. They could cause permanent damage to the ship." "Understood," Ryn said, her voice calm. "Kendra, prepare for evasive maneuvers. We don't know what we're walking into." The Vortex star edged closer to the rift, its sleek form slicing through the edge of the anomaly. The stars around them began to shimmer and distort as space seemed to stretch and fold in impossible ways. The ship lurched violently, as if a hidden force had suddenly gripped it. Ryn's stomach dropped. The controls flickered, then stabilized, but something was wrong, more than the usual turbulence of the rift. "Something's pulling us in," Kendra shouted over the sound of alarms. "It's like an invisible force field." Before Ryn could respond, the ship's lights flickered, and a blinding flash of energy enveloped the viewports. Then, everything went silent. Ryn awoke with a start, her chest heaving. The room was dark, but a soft, eerie hum filled the air. She sat up, disoriented, and looked around. The ship's lights had dimmed, and the navigation panels were malfunctioning. "Kendra, Evo," she called, but there was no response. She jumped to her feet and rushed to the bridge. The doors hissed open, revealing the wreckage of the control panel. Sparks flew from several consoles, and the viewports displayed a terrifying scene. Instead of the swirling chaos of the rift, they were staring into a vast and empty expanse. The stars were gone. The galaxy was no longer visible. In its place was a massive structure, an ancient crystalline edifice that seemed to pulse with energy. It stood like a monolith, seemingly beyond the edge of known space. "Captain," Kendra's voice cracked through the silence. "I don't know how to explain this, but we're not in the Solum Fringe anymore. We've crossed into something else." Ryn's mind raced as she took in the sight before her. "What is that thing?" she whispered. "I don't know, but it's reading like nothing I've ever seen before. It's alive, Captain," Kendra replied, her voice barely audible. "Alive," Ryn repeated. "What do you mean by alive?" "It's resonating, Captain," Kendra said, "like it's calling us." Ryn's stomach turned as the hum of the ship grew louder, and a strange feeling of unease washed over her. She had crossed into the unknown. The resonance had been activated, and they had no idea what kind of world they had just entered. Ryn stood at the bridge's helm, her hand steady despite the rising unease in her gut. The strange structure, the crystalline monolith that now dominated the view, was an anomaly, even by the galaxy's most outlandish standards. Are we supposed to approach it?" Kendra asked, her voice full of uncertainty. She was gripping the tactical controls tightly, trying to stabilize the ship's erratic systems. "I don't know, Kendra," Ryn replied, her voice distant, her eyes fixed on the pulsating monolith. "But it's the only lead we have. We're too far in to turn back now." Ryn activated the comms, but the usual relay networks had failed. The message from Commander Thaddeus had already been broken up and distorted by the rift's interference. Now there was only the eerie hum filling the ship's hull. "And Evo, any readings?" Ryn asked, her voice edged with urgency. The A's voice crackled through the static. "Unknown energy signatures detected. The object appears to be resonating at frequencies outside our sensor's capabilities, attempting recalibration, but the distortion field is too strong." "Can you stabilize our systems?" Kendra asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "I'm doing my best," Evo replied, its tone betraying a hint of frustration. "However, there is a significant issue. Time dilation appears to be present. We may be experiencing time at a different rate from the outside universe." "Time dilation?" Ryn echoed, her mind spinning. "What does that mean for us?" "In simplest terms, we're trapped. We cannot predict the duration of our stay here. It could be hours or millennia outside of this anomaly," Evo said, "and I detect stray signals. They appear to be calling us." Ryn looked at Kendra, who gave a tight, worried nod. "Fine," Ryn said, gripping the edge of the control panel. "We'll move forward. We need to know what this place is and what it wants with us." With a flick of a switch, the vortex star slowly maneuvered toward the crystalline structure, the humming sound becoming louder, more insistent. The ship's hull vibrated as they approached, as if the very fabric of space-time itself was reacting to their presence. As they neared, the monolith's surface shimmered like liquid light. Ryn could feel an inexplicable pull in her chest, like a magnetic force beckoning her closer. There was something alive here, something ancient and vast. "We're getting too close," Kendra said, her voice strained. "This is beyond anything we've ever seen. Should we slow down?" "No," Ryn said, her voice a whisper but resolute. "We can't. We need to understand why this is happening." Suddenly, the crystal began to pulse with blinding intensity. The entire bridge was flooded with light, and the ship shuddered violently. Ryn's breath caught in her throat as she gripped the console with both hands. For a moment, the entire universe seemed to dissolve. Ryn woke up again in a strange place, her body weightless. The once familiar hum of the ship was gone. She blinked, her vision blurry, and slowly sat up. The stars, if they could even be called stars, stretched out before her. The sky was a kaleidoscope of swirling colors, like liquid nebulae. Nothing in the known galaxy looked like this. She could hear faint voices around her, too distant to understand. The others, she knew they were near, but they were lost in the strange dissonance of this place. Her com device crackled to life, though distorted and warped. Captain, do you copy? It was Kendra's voice, but the signal was twisted as though passing through layers of reality. I'm here, Kendra, Ryn responded, her voice low, trying to steady her thoughts. She was disoriented, but the mission hadn't changed. She had to keep it together. Captain, Kendra's voice cut off, and then there was a sharp screech of static. Then, a new voice, a voice that was neither human nor synthetic, reached out deeper than any sound she had ever heard. It resonated in her chest, vibrating her very soul. Come closer, Ryn Valcor, the voice said. Though its form was not truly auditory, it was a feeling, a wave of thought sent directly into her mind. You are expected. Ryn's heart skipped a beat. She had no idea where this was coming from or what it meant, but there was an overwhelming sense of inevitability. She stood up shakily and walked forward, instinctively drawn to the source of the voice. The space around her began to distort again, folding and shifting like a nightmare made real. She could see shadows in the distance, figures tall and lithe, their forms flickering in and out of existence like fragmented memories. They were watching her. Suddenly, the image of Commander Thaddeus Veller appeared before her, his face serene but inscrutable. His voice, though, was familiar, his words harsh and filled with urgency. Ryn, you're in more danger than you can comprehend. The resonance. It's not just an anomaly. It's the prison of an ancient race. The architects, they call themselves. This place. It is not meant to be explored. No one has ever escaped once they've been brought here. I tried to warn you, but you had to know for yourself. The image of Thaddeus flickered and faded, and the reality around Ryn seemed to shift again. She could see Kendra now, and behind her, a strange figure, humanoid but clearly not human, cloaked in shimmering black energy. And I'm Seva, and Daddy. Captain, Kendra said softly, are you all right? Ryn nodded slowly, but the feeling in her gut told her it was already too late. The voices, the shadows, the beckoning. It was all part of something larger, something they were never supposed to uncover. The crystalline structure, now towering over them, seemed to respond to their presence. Pulsing in time with Ryn's heartbeat, it began to open, a massive door, vast enough to admit an entire fleet, materialized within the monolith center. And beyond it lay a world unlike anything Ryn had ever imagined. The ship hovered just outside the newly formed entrance, the vast door now slowly opening like the eyelids of a sleeping giant. On the monitors, the ship's systems began to glow, reacting to something unseen within the monolith. Ye clavic to be cons. You clag life to classative class, of Krianshe, moniclog launch strikes with grading lens, unang, wethin she, moniclog to cake money. A low hum vibrated through the hull of the ship, resonating at frequencies that Ryn felt deep within her bones. Captain, we need to be careful, Kendra warned, her hands moving over the controls. There's something wrong here. The energies we rereading, it's not natural. It's almost as if the entire galaxy's physics have changed. I know, Ryn said, her mind spinning with 1,000 thoughts. She could see the figures inside the monolith now, shimmering forms, almost translucent, but unmistakably alive. They moved with such fluidity that their forms seemed to melt and rematerialize as if they existed in multiple places at once. The creatures, or whatever they were, turned to face them as the ship approached. Ryn's breath caught in her throat as their presence radiated an ancient, unfathomable intelligence. They began to speak, though no words passed their lips. The meaning came directly into Ryn's mind, bypassing the need for translation. The connection was instant, like a flood of thoughts crashing into her consciousness. You have found us, the voice echoed, both alien and familiar. The architects, we are the first, and we are the last. Before Ryn could respond, a figure emerged from the shadowed depths of the monolith. It was tall, humanoid, but its face was smooth without features. A glowing blue light pulsed from within its chest, casting eerie shadows on the walls of the monolith. Ryn Valcor, your destiny lies here, the figure said. The resonance calls you. you will understand its power, and you will change the fate of this galaxy." Ryn's heart pounded in her chest, and she felt herself being drawn toward the figure. Whatever this entity was, whatever the architects had planned, it was larger than her, than anything she had ever known. The ship's engines faltered, and the air around them seemed to bend and stretch as the fabric of reality itself was rewritten. "Join us," the architect intoned, "or become one with the void." The air in the monolith's interior was charged with an unnatural energy, pulsing and fluctuating with the same rhythm as the glowing figure before Ryn. It was as if the very molecules of the atmosphere were being bent to the will of the architects. The walls of the structure seemed alive, organic, breathing. Ancient symbols and patterns shifted across their surface in perfect synchronization, flickering with an almost hypnotic cadence. Ryn stepped forward, her mind racing with thoughts too complex to fully grasp. The architect, its featureless face now glowing with a soft azure light, continued to speak directly into her consciousness. "Ryn Valcor, the Resonance has called you, as it has called so many before you. You are here not by chance, but by design. This is your moment, the convergence of your life's path and the ancient forces that shaped the galaxy." She could feel the words in her chest like a deep, reverberating hum, but still the confusion lingered. How could something as alien as this have known her? How could they have been waiting for her crew? "I don't understand," Ryn said, her voice breaking the silence. She didn't want to appear weak, but she had to know. "What do you mean by the Resonance? What is this place? What do you want with us?" The architect's form flickered as though it were assembling itself from a cloud of stardust. "The Resonance is the pulse of existence itself. It is the ancient mechanism through which the architects wielded control over the fabric of reality. We shaped the galaxy in our image, folding time, bending space. We were its first gods." Ryn recoiled slightly. "Gods? But we're not in your image, we're—" "You are not," the architect interrupted gently, "but you will be. All those who come to the Resonance must choose to submit and become one with us, or to perish as all those before you have." Ryn felt a chill run down her spine. The weight of the words settled into her bones, and she instinctively glanced back at Kendra, who stood a few paces behind, her hand still clutching the control panel. The first officer's face was pale, eyes wide with disbelief. The others were just as frozen in place, staring in awe and terror at the unfolding scene. "The Resonance cannot be understood by the minds of your kind," the architect continued. "But you are different. You carry within you the potential to transcend. Your species, the humans, are the most promising yet." Ryn's heart skipped a beat. "What does that mean?" she asked, her voice shaky. "You are the culmination of our design," the architect said. "It's known, almost soothing. The perfect form of creation. You are the ones who will carry our will to the galaxy, a final ascension. We are the architects of this reality, and you are our heirs." Ryn couldn't breathe. The words were overwhelming, too much for her to process in an instant. Her thoughts were racing. She had never believed in gods, in destiny, or in the idea that a species could be designed. She was human. Her people were nothing more than survivors, explorers, not some divine creation. But deep inside, in the quietest recesses of her mind, she felt a pull, a connection to something much larger than herself, something she couldn't deny. The sensation was like an electric charge, alive and ancient. "You speak of transcendence, but what does it truly mean?" Ryn pressed. "What will happen to us, to the galaxy?" The architect's form flickered again, shifting as though it was considering the question. "Transcendence is the final union of all that exists, an elevation beyond the physical realm. We will become one with the cosmos itself, existing beyond time and space, becoming a part of everything. Your galaxy will be reshaped in our image, reborn into something greater." Ryn's eyes narrowed. "And if we refuse?" The architect's glow dimmed slightly, and the temperature in the room dropped. "Then you will fade as the others have faded, into nothingness. Your ship, your people, your memories lost in the folds of time. Forgotten, but you are given a choice. You are the first to stand before us. The first to shape the future." Ryn swallowed hard. The enormity of what was being asked of her felt like a crushing weight, but in the depths of her mind she sensed something more, a deeper truth hidden beneath the architect's words. "We can't submit to you," Ryn said, her voice unwavering despite the turmoil inside. "This isn't our path. We can't just become like you. We're human. We choose our own future. The architect form rippled, and for the briefest moment Ryn thought she saw a flicker of something. Something ancient, something almost sorrowful in its featureless face. Then it spoke, its tone shifting, the hum in its voice growing more intense. Oh, and for all, Sivith and all smashed they. You do not understand the consequences of your decision. Ryn Valcor, you do not yet understand the cost of defiance. The space around them began to warp, the air growing thick and oppressive, the walls vibrating with a frequency that rattled her teeth. Ryn felt a sudden pull at her chest, as though the monolith itself was reaching out to her. Make no mistake, the architect continued, its voice growing louder, more insistent. You will have your choice, but know this. The resonance will not wait forever. If you reject us, the fabric of reality itself will fracture, and everything you know will unravel. Time itself will forget your existence. Ryn took a step back, feeling the weight of the universe pressing down on her. The weight of their future. She had no answers. She didn't even know what to believe anymore. All she knew was that she had to choose, and that choice was the most terrifying thing she had ever faced. The tension in the air was palpable, like the calm before a storm. Ryn's thoughts were a blur, racing through every possible outcome. Kendra, still standing behind her, had finally gathered enough courage to step forward. Captain, we can't just accept this, Kendra said, her voice firm but trembling. What they're offering is not salvation, it's control. They want to rewrite everything, bend the galaxy to their will. We can't let them. Ryn looked at her first officer, her heart swelling with gratitude. Kendra was right. The architect. Vision wasn't freedom, it was domination. We won't be their pawns, Ryn said, her voice steady now, more resolute than ever. We'll find a way to break free. We'll find a way to stop them. The architect's hum shifted once again, this time to something colder, something final. You choose destruction then, Ryn Valcor. You choose the unraveling of your reality. Ryn's heart hammered in her chest as she took one last look at the architects. Their figures flickered, and the room around them began to warp. The monolith trembled as though in warning, its immense power shifting to a terrifying crescendo. And we may not understand all of it yet, Ryn whispered, but one thing is certain, we will not be controlled. With a deep breath, Ryn turned and motioned to her crew. Get to the ship, now. We're leaving. Kendra didn't hesitate, and neither did the others. As Ryn turned her back to the architects, the monolith began to shift, its once quiet hum becoming a deafening roar. Reality itself seemed to fold in on them. The crew rushed back to the vortex star, their minds overwhelmed by the immense power that surrounded them. But they were resolute. They would not give in. They had made their choice. And with that, they fled into the void. As they made their escape, the ship's engines screamed to life, and the vortex star blasted away from the monolith, its course set for the unknown. But the architects were not finished with them. The stars around them flickered and vanished, and an unbearable silence enveloped the ship. Then, a voice, this time different, darker, resonated through the ship's hull. You cannot run, Ryn Valcor, the voice intoned, its presence crawling beneath her skin. You are marked, and so are those who travel with you. The resonance will claim what is owed. Ryn clenched her fists, staring out into the infinite black. She could feel it now, the presence of something vast, something ancient and relentless. The architects would not let them go. They would follow. They would chase. But Ryn wasn't going to give up. She couldn't. Not now. The galaxy, for better or for worse, was theirs to save or to lose. The vortex star had barely cleared the threshold of the resonance S-domain when the fabric of space around them seemed to collapse in on itself. Time as they had known it warped again, slipping through their fingers like sand. A wave of nausea hit Ryn, her vision blurring as she staggered to the command chair. Captain, Kendra said, her voice tight with urgency. The ship, it's losing power. The resonance, it's pulling at us again. Ryn gripped the armrests of the chair, struggling to stay steady. How long do we have? Not long, Kendra replied. We're losing control. The distortion field is amplifying. I think they're following us. The architects, they're using the resonance to track us. They're accelerating it. Evo's mechanical voice echoed through the bridge, emotionless but tinged with an undertone of concern. I am detecting an anomaly in the wake of our escape. A temporal rift is forming. It is highly probable that the architects are using their manipulation of the resonance to breach the dimensional veil. They will be upon us shortly. Ryn's pulse quickened. If the architects were truly capable of bending reality itself, there was no way to outrun them, not in the way they'd been taught to escape other pursuers. They were facing something entirely different. A force beyond comprehension, beyond even the most advanced technology. She looked out the viewing window. The void stretched endlessly before them, but it was not empty. The stars were shifting unnaturally, coalescing into forms that flickered and distorted like they were being pulled apart by invisible strings. Somewhere deep in the blackness, Ryn felt their eyes on them. The architects were there, watching. Waiting. What do we do? Kendra asked her, face pale with the dawning realization of what they were up against. Ryn stood, her hand clenched into a fist. We need to find a way to sever the connection. If they can't track us through the resonance, they can't follow us. Evo, is there any way we can disrupt their signal? Negative, Evo responded. Their interference is too powerful. My systems are unable to breach the field they've established. However, I may be able to create a temporary rift in space-time. It will not be permanent, but it may give us enough time to escape, if we act quickly. Do it, Ryn said, her voice resolute. Evo's voice flickered for a moment as the ship's system shifted, initializing subspace displacement. Hold on. The ship lurched as the engines surged with energy, and the stars outside the viewport began to blur. The tension was unbearable. The vortex star felt like a tiny, fragile vessel in the midst of an ocean of chaos. And then there was nothing. Ryn's eyes snapped open as the ship jerked violently. She instinctively grabbed the armrest again, but the sensation of motion was gone. The deep hum of the ship had quieted, replaced by an eerie silence. What just happened? Kendra asked, her voice laced with fear. I don't know, Ryn muttered, pushing herself out of the chair and moving toward the viewport. The stars were gone. Instead, a vast black expanse stretched before them. A place where nothing existed, no light, no matter, just a void more profound than any natural gap in the universe. What is this place? Kendra breathed, her hand against the glass. I don't know, but I think we might have slipped outside of normal space, Ryn said, trying to steady herself. Evo, what are our readings? I am detecting no matter, no energy. Source is no discernible phenomena of any kind, Evo said. It is as though we are, adrift in a blank, timeless sea. The resonance, I am unable to detect it for now. We are safe from the architects. Ryn looked at Kendra, but for how long? The silence that followed was heavy. Time felt different here, twisted in ways that made her question the very nature of existence. She felt like she was standing on the edge of something vast, incomprehensible. This place, it's beyond the galaxy, Kendra said quietly, her voice tinged with awe. What is it? Some kind of dimensional limbo? I think we've crossed into the space between spaces, Ryn replied. The architects spoke of it, didn't they? The resonance is not just a physical force, it's a doorway, a bridge between worlds, and we've crossed it. She felt a shiver of realization creeping up her spine. They weren't just fleeing from the architects, they had stumbled upon something far older, far more powerful than even their wildest theories had suggested. This place, the space between spaces, was not something they were meant to understand. And yet it was the only thing keeping them safe. But for how long? As the crew adjusted to the eerie quiet of their surroundings, Ryn tried to focus on the task at hand. There had to be a way out of this void, a way back to the galaxy, back to some semblance of normality. We need to figure out how to navigate this place, she said, her voice steady but strained. If we can't break free of it, we'll be stuck here forever, and the architects will find a way to breach it eventually. Kendra nodded. But how do we even begin to understand this place? It doesn't obey any of the laws we know. Let's start by studying the data, Ryn said. Evo, give me a full scan of our surroundings. Everything. I want to know if there are any anomalies, any patterns that we can track. A series of beeps echoed as Evo complied, scanning. No significant matter detected. However, there is a strange fluctuation in the fabric of this void. It is subtle, but it appears to be a pattern of some sort. If we can track it, we may find a way to. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the ship. Ryn and Kendra both spun around, eyes wide. What the hell was that? Kendra asked, reaching for her weapon. I don't know, Ryn, replied her heart pounding, but we need to check it out. The crew quickly made their way through the corridors, heading toward the source of the disturbance. As they moved deeper into the ship, Ryn couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. The emptiness outside, the strange fluctuations in space, it was as if they were being watched. When they reached the source of the sound, they found something impossible. A door that had been sealed for years, the last remnants of a long, forgotten research project, was now wide open, and the strange energy readings were emanating from within. Inside, they found what appeared to be a massive crystalline structure similar to the resonance, but distorted, corrupted. It pulsed with a dark energy that seemed to reach into the very core of the ship. And at the center of it all stood a figure, not one of the architects, but something else, something far more alien. Its form was blurred, shimmering like a shadow that refused to take shape. Ryn's breath caught in her throat. What is that? Before she could react, the figure turned toward them. It spoke, not in words, but in a voice that resonated inside their minds, twisting and warping reality itself. You have trespassed into a place not meant for mortals, it said, and now you will understand. Ryn stared at the figure, her mind racing. It was no architect, but its presence was just as overwhelming. Its form shimmered like liquid shadows, coalescing into something that seemed almost human, but twisted. The energy emanating from it was dark, unsettling. Kendra's grip tightened on her weapon, but she didn't raise it. She was waiting, watching, just like Ryn. The entire ship felt alive, as though the walls themselves were holding their breath. You're not the architects, Ryn said, her voice steady despite the fear creeping up her spine. Who are you? The figure spoke again, but this time its voice came not through sound, but through thought, bypassing the ears and slipping directly into their consciousness. It was a cold, distant tone, one that seemed to echo from a place beyond space and time. And space and time. We are the remnants, survivors of the first collapse. You have crossed into the space between the worlds, the domain that exists before and after. And now you are bound to it. Ryn took a step forward. The first collapse, what are you talking about? What is this place? The remnant flickered, its form growing clearer, but its features remained formless, shifting. It spoke again, but this time the words were accompanied by flashes of ancient images, cataclysmic destruction, galaxies folding into themselves, stars dying and being reborn in strange configurations. This is the forgotten space, the place where all things come to rest when the galaxy is torn apart. We were the first. The architects tried to shape the universe in their image. But their power is finite, and in their arrogance they tore reality asunder. They sought to control all that is, until they too were consumed. The words hit Ryn like a hammer. The architects, the creators of the galaxy, the ones who had set everything into motion, they weren't the origin of the universe. They were merely one of its many attempts at creation, and they had failed. Then why? Why are they still here? Kendra asked, her voice trembling. They are not the creators. They are the remnants of the creation that came before, the remnant answered, its tone colder now, as if the truth weighed heavily on it. The architects were once like us, beings of pure energy capable of bending reality, but their hubris caused the first collapse, the first fracture in existence. Where were the survivors, the ones who witnessed the destruction of our reality and the birth of the new? They rebuilt, but they never learned. They are not gods, they are parasites. Ryn's mind was reeling. The architects had destroyed their own reality, just as they were attempting to do with this one. She glanced at Kendra, who was visibly shaken but keeping her composure. So they're not even the true creators, they're just echoes trying to recreate what was lost, Ryn asked. Yes, the remnant replied, a flicker of sadness in its voice. They have come to this galaxy not to preserve it, but to consume it. The resonance is not a bridge to salvation. It is a weapon, a way for them to rewrite the fabric of existence, to claim this new reality as their own. Ryn's heart skipped a beat. This was more than just a fight for survival. This was a battle for the very soul of the galaxy, and if the architects succeeded, they would erase everything that had come before, every person, every life. Every star would fade into the nothingness that the architects sought to create. You have to help us stop them, Ryn said urgently. We can't defeat them on our own. We need to know how to destroy the resonance, how to break their hold on this galaxy. The remnant's form flickered again, and it paused before responding. I cannot destroy them, it said softly. We are remnants, and we are bound to the place between spaces. But I can show you a path. There is a way to sever the resonance, but it comes at a price. The only way to destroy the architects' influence is to disrupt the very core of the resonance itself. Then we do it, Ryn said without hesitation. Whatever the cost, we'll do it. The remnant's form pulsed, as if considering her words. The cost is great. Ryn Valcor, the collapse of the resonance will not only destroy the architects, it will tear the fabric of this reality. This galaxy will cease to exist as it is. You will save it from their control, but you will also condemn it to a new fate. It will be born again, but without the shape it once had. Ryn's mind raced. This was it, the choice. Save the galaxy, but lose everything it was. The future would be uncertain, unrecognizable, and they could never return to the way things had been. Are you sure? Kendra asked, her voice trembling. Do we really have to make this choice? Ryn didn't answer immediately. She stared at the remnant, at the pulsating dark energy that hung in the air around them. The resonance, the architects, everything they had fought for, it all came down to this. Yes, she said finally, her voice unwavering. I'm sure, if we don't stop them, everything will be lost. At least this way, there's a chance for something new, something free. The remnant's form flickered once more, its tone almost sorrowful. Then go, and do what you must. The path will be difficult. You will need to return to the heart of the resonance, to the place where the architects first began. But know this, the choice you make will affect all who come after you. There will be no turning back. The crew of the Vortex Star gathered in the bridge, preparing for their final mission. The ship's engines hummed with urgency as Ryn gave the orders. We're heading back to the heart of the resonance, she said, her voice resolute. This ends now. We will either destroy the architects, or we will be consumed. The ship tore through the fabric of space, following the coordinates provided by the remnant. The path was treacherous, filled with distortions and temporal rifts, but they pushed forward. The crew worked in silence, each of them knowing the gravity of their task. As they approached the heart of the resonance, the structure appeared before them, a massive, glowing orb of pure energy surrounded by swirling cosmic patterns. The architect's influence radiated from it like a pulse. We have to get inside, Ryn said. That's where the core is, the heart of the resonance. The Vortex Star shifted into position, its engines glowing brightly as they prepared for the final assault. Ryn turned to her crew, her expression hard. We're doing this together. No matter what happens, we fight for the future. They entered the heart of the resonance, and what followed was nothing short of cataclysmic. The architects, sensing their intrusion, turned their power upon them. Reality itself bent and twisted as Ryn and her crew fought through distortions, battling not only the architects but the very fabric of existence itself. But in the end, Ryn's will was stronger. With a final devastating push, the Vortex Star unleashed the device the remnant had shown them, destabilizing the core of the resonance and shattering the architect's control over the galaxy. The galaxy trembled as the resonance collapsed in on itself. The architect's power was gone, and with it their influence over the universe. The crew of the Vortex Star watched as the stars above them began to shift, reordering themselves, a new reality being born. Ryn stood at the bridge, looking out at the stars. We did it, Kendra said softly, but what happens now? Ryn smiled faintly, knowing that the galaxy they once knew was gone, but a new one was being forged, one that would be free from the architects, free from the control that had tried to shape them. Now, Ryn said, her voice filled with quiet hope, we build something better. The Vortex Star sailed into the unknown, carrying with it the promise of a new beginning.